Hi, today I'm going to show you how you can put together a special ed binder to help you stay organized for the Ohio Achievement Assessments. I've used this for the last several years as a site lead and as a special site ed lead, and it really helps to keep things organized and together in case you need to reference anything. As you can see, this is the front cover, and if we open it up, on this side were some directions on how to give a test to a student who requires a word processor. Since there were some specifics with that, we wanted to make sure that we had the information there, so I put that in the front pocket of the 3-ring binder. This was the testing schedule for all students, not just special ed students, but the testing schedule for 2010-2011, what days students would be testing in grades 3 through 8. And then, as you can see, we have the different tabs here. Next, what I have is a listing of the location and the site lead, special ed site lead, assistants, and proctors. This listed the extension phone numbers for the people, their cell numbers if available, as well as their OHVA email addresses in case we needed to contact them. Also listed was the address of the site and the phone number if we needed to contact the site there. Next, we had some helpful information just for the sites, and this has been used before, and this is, I believe, on SharePoint. Now, the next section is a listing of all of our students. There, the student's name, their phone number, grade, who the learning coach is, who the teacher is, and where they're going to be testing. Just in case we needed to contact anybody, we had all of that information right at our fingertips. Now, the next section is something I created. It was a listing of all the special ed students and the students with a 504 by grade level. It also listed if they had a 504, that was in parentheses. It was grade level. It told me what tests that they were taking and the names of the various students so that we could keep this very readily available and easily see this. And as you can see over here, this was the 7th and 8th grade. We need to go to a back sheet there. Now, the next was the proctor schedule. The site lead and I came together and discussed when we wanted to test these students and where we wanted to test it. This needs to be done as a team effort because you have so many rooms and you have so many students, and you need to make sure that they are not double booked. So you really do need to work together. And on this page, I list the times, what tests are going to be taken, who the student is, and what the accommodations are. And then I color-coded it based on what rooms they were in. And if I'll zoom in here, you can see that we had ballroom, small room, 12th floor, and then you can see the color coding right there. And then here is another page that we had of that, and we had quite a few special ed students at this site. So we had quite a few pages that we had. Then what I also had was a listing of all of the students, if they had an 504 or if they had an IEP, and if they had an IEP, it listed who their intervention specialist was, their grade level, and then listed all of the accommodations. There was an X in the box of the accommodations there, so I could easily, or anyone else who was using this binder could easily look and see. Next, I put in the testing accommodations page from each student's IEP. This is a legal document, and therefore we need to follow the requirements that are listed here. So I wanted to make sure that I had that for every student. So I made sure that we had a copy of that, and I did give the proctors a copy as well. Also gave them a copy that I made here, which was a listing of the student's name, the location, their ID, our location number, the tests that they were going to be taking, and the accommodations for each test. Now, what the proctor would do is they would date it, sign their name, start time when they started it, what time they stopped it, and if they took any breaks. Now, down at the bottom here, they could write additional notes, and then this could be passed along to the intervention specialist if there was anything that really needed to be noted and would be noteworthy for the intervention specialist to be aware of. And I had directions down there as to how to go about it. And here's another student's information again, and here's their proctor sheet. And as you can see, this is a very large section, but again, we did have quite a few students, so I wanted to make sure everyone had one. Then this was the PowerPoint presentation that was for everyone to look at, students with disabilities. I simply took it and made it into a document that could be put into a binder so that if I needed to reference, or again, anyone needed to reference it, there were pages here that we could look up easily so we knew specifically what was required. If somebody had a specific question regarding an accommodation or said that this needed to be done, we could look this up and make sure and double check there. So again, this was the entire PowerPoint, and I just simply said print 2 pages or 2 slides to a page and then printed it off. And then this was the statewide assessment accommodations guidance chart, which definitely came in handy. We had a few instances where some parents were saying that their child needed some specific accommodations, and we had to look up if they were allowable or not. And this really was a lifesaver, and it specifically told us whether or not these were allowable accommodations for the student. And then at the end, if somebody needed to sign out a test booklet or anything, they could use this, and then I could be aware of that. Then at the very back here are just some testing signs. We could put this up when we were testing a student. Let's say we had a 3rd grader or 6th grader, 8th grader. We could put this up to let the parents know what grade level we were testing, and so that they could be quiet as well if they were outside waiting on their students so as to not disturb them. So this is what you can do to put together a special ed site lead binder. Again, it just is a handy tool to put everything together, keep it all together. You're not lugging folders around or anything like that. Everything is in one concise, neat package, and it really does help make the job a little bit easier. It's an overwhelming job, but by being a little organized and taking some time to put these things together, it really doesn't seem as overwhelming as it can be. So I hope you found this useful, and maybe you'll try putting one together too. Happy testing.